Good afternoon. Welcome in live to the Bruning Law Firm Braggin Rights postgame show here on PowerMizzou.com. Live with you on YouTube. We will be in podcast form with you in the next couple hours after this show is final. I look a little weird on the screen. I will try to get that figured out here as we go along, trying to do 100 different things at once. Gabe DeArmond here with you again, live after an 80-77 Missouri loss to Illinois in the Braggin Rights game. Absolute classic. Before we get my takeaways, your takeaways, questions, we'll check in with Drew King live from the Enterprise Center in St. Louis. We want to remind you that our post-game shows all basketball season long, brought to you by our friends at the Bruning Law Firm. AJ, the Bruning brothers, great guys, huge Tiger fans, very good friends of PowerMizzou.com. They can take care of you. If you find yourself in a situation, if you've been wronged, the Brunings want to take care of you. They don't get paid unless you get paid. You can get in touch with somebody at the Bruning Law Firm at 573-400-2796. That information is scrolling across the bottom of the screen throughout this show. Once again, 573-400-2796. They're going to give you a free consultation. They don't charge you anything until they have taken care of you. They don't get paid before you get paid. That is the Bruning Law Firm. Again, great friends of ours. You guys also, all very good friends of ours. Appreciate you being here live with us. A few assaults, maybe personal injuries there late in that one. I'm sure the officiating is going to be a huge topic. We will get to it. We'll get to all your questions and comments. Please put those in the chat. Again, we're going to have Drew King live after post-game interviews from St. Louis. I'm going to hang out with you and handle it until then. I'm going to start off just giving you guys my thoughts. And here's my first thought. That's the bragging rights I grew up with. That's the bragging rights that made me fall in love with college basketball and with this game in particular. Look, I don't know exactly what the crowd was. I am here in Columbia hosting the show. Drew and Henry Chappell are at the game for us. So I wasn't in the arena for this one, but watching it on TV, that was like every play is life or death. NCAA tournament game a couple of days before Christmas between two teams that what I saw today, tell me they're both going to end up there. I think those are NCAA tournament teams, guys. Really, really high-level basketball game. And I'm just going to read you the last paragraph of my instant reaction because this is how I felt about this one, really for about the last 12 minutes. Nobody ever gives the team any credit. Illinois is a good team. I thought they played pretty well. Not perfectly. Neither team did. You don't expect that, especially in a rivalry game like this one. Both teams made runs. Every time one team punched, the other one punched back. I thought Illinois was a little tougher defensively and made a few more gotta-have-it plays. That's it. The refs didn't lose the game. Missouri wasn't awful. Dennis Gates isn't a moron. It was a high-level college basketball game with a March feel that went Illinois' way because they made a couple more plays. It's what this game was for years, absolutely should be. Those were two NCAA tournament teams. One had to lose. And unfortunately for the Tigers today, they were that team. Fantastic basketball game. I mean, there were so many. First of all, Missouri jumps out. I think it was 7-2. Illinois immediately makes a run to go up 10-7 and then go up 16-10. There were multiple times that I thought Missouri could have been buried, that Missouri could have mailed it in. They are down 10 points, 67-57 with about 5.5 minutes left, 5:45, somewhere in there. They immediately go on an 11-0 run, take a 1-point lead. Illinois comes back down, 5-0 run, goes up 4. Missouri scores the next 4 to tie the game. I mean, just the two really good teams trading punches, guys. That's what I want college basketball to be. There's not enough of that. Were the refs too much a part of the show? Yes. Are there calls you can question? Absolutely. Can you question a couple of Missouri's shots that they chose to take in the last 2 minutes? Absolutely. And I know we're going to talk about those. But guys, I thought a really fun basketball game to watch. And I don't think the fact that the team you wanted to lose it or wanted to win it, lost it, should take away from what we saw for 40 minutes and what we saw out of Missouri. Because long term, I think there is a whole lot to like out of that game for Missouri. So I want to start. I called for voicemails. If we get any of those, and we do have a few. I'm going to do my best to upload those as we are talking right now. I've got about 5 of them, and so you're going to have to stick with me as I kind of manage to. I'm a one-man show right now as I kind of try to upload both or upload the voicemails and get them on the air. But I do want to hang on. We are going to have to figure out where we're at. Okay, here we are. Okay, I know where I'm at, so we can go ahead and upload them. Let's go through a couple of your comments first so I can kind of get my bearings. And this is an important one. Scott Fitz, what was Mark Mitchell doing at the end there? Mark Mitchell took the shot that Illinois wanted Missouri to take. There were about 9 seconds left. Missouri was down 2, 79-77. Mitchell gets the ball on the wing, pump fakes his guy in the air. If he had taken the initial 3 with about 12 seconds left, look, I wouldn't have loved it. That's not the shot I want there. But if he'd taken that one in rhythm, you can live with it. But then he pump fakes, steps right, steps back. And even though he's open, he's open because Illinois wants him open there. Mark Mitchell is a very good basketball player, has a lot of skills. On the drive, getting to the line, very good. He is not a very good shooter. Now, that said, the game icing shot against Kansas was a Mark Mitchell 3-pointer. So there is some precedent here that he is capable of making that shot. I understand why he took it. Dennis Gates has said, hey, I want everybody on the floor to be a weapon. I want, all my guys to be ready to pull the trigger on a shot like that. So I get it. When it doesn't go in, you leave yourself open to criticism. And, the criticism is valid. That is not the shot that you want in that situation if you're Missouri. Two caveats. Again, he's made it before. So you do kind of understand it. The other caveat is that Missouri still had a shot to tie that game, guys. They got that shot from Jacob Cruz because Illinois, for the first time all day, missed a free throw. And Jacob Cruz had a shot that would have tied the game and forced overtime. It was a good look. It did not go in. I don't have any issue with that one for 2 reasons. First of all, you have to take it. Second of all, Jacob Cruz has been one of Missouri's better 3-point shooters here lately. Understand the criticism of the shot. Agree with the criticism of the shot. When it doesn't go in, that's like you leave yourself open to that criticism. Completely understand that. Mitchell says free throws, free throws, free throws. Look, guys, they were the difference in the game. Illinois 22 of 23. Missouri 28 of 37. Gets to the line 37 times. 75.7% is not that bad. But there were 2 problems here. Mark Mitchell went 6 for 12. He had 2 huge misses with 3:30 to go. Trent Pierce went 0 for 2, missed 2 free throws with, I'm guessing here, a minute 15, a minute 20 to go, something like that. That would have tied the game. Could have been a little bit more than that. But those are 4 huge misses. Missouri shooting 76% is not, like, you will take that from your team. 37 trips to the line, 28 makes. Those are good numbers. They missed 4 at really critical times, so they stand out. The bigger story at the free throw line is not Missouri 28 of 37. It's Illinois 22 of 33. Missouri went to the line 14 more times. They got only 6 more points. That's in a little way a criticism of Missouri but again, 76% as a team, if you shoot 76% as a team, you're going to take it. That's honestly more about Illinois missing 1 time. The one they missed is the one that would have ended the game. Like If Jacob Cruz makes that three and we're still playing, then what we are talking about is Illinois made 22 of 23 free throws, and the only one they didn't make was the one they absolutely had to make. Again, we have to sometimes give the other guys credit. Illinois they didn't get to the line nearly as much as Missouri. I know for all the talk we're going to hear about the officials, and I know we're going to hear it, Missouri shot a lot more free throws. Illinois, when they got there, made it count. And you have to tip your hat at that point. K-Towns should have forced the ball out of that kid's hands. Bad matchup versus Mitchell. I'm not sure which one we're talking about late. Honestly, I was trying to get reaction up and tweet and do all these things. I'm not sure which kid you're talking about. Again, things go both ways, right? Sometimes you get a bad matchup because the other team forces that matchup. It happened with Missouri some. It happened with Illinois some. I think this is a good point to say. I believe Dennis Gates coached his ass off in this game, switching defenses in the first half. Josh Gray didn't have it. He goes to Peyton Marshall. Peyton Marshall gives him some minutes. Then Peyton Marshall makes a mistake. So then he just goes small. Then Trent Pierce is the big guy, or Mitchell's the big guy, whoever. He goes small. As Game Sucks 2023 says, you get 0 from Ant and you lose by 3 to a legitimate top 25 tournament team. Anthony Robinson did not have it today. He played poorly. Today was like the day that you feared Anthony Robinson still had him in him at some point. He has been fantastic this year. He committed a couple of really cheap fouls, and when he was in the game, looked like he was forcing it. He just didn't have it. Ant's final line today, he played 15 minutes. He had 2 points, 1 rebound, 0 assists, 2 turnovers, and 4 personal fouls. That's the line of the guy who had been Missouri's best player coming into this game. And Missouri was still in a tie game with 46 seconds left and had an opportunity to win it. It happens, guys. I think, yes, not what you want out of Anthony Robinson. That said, hell of an effort to pick up the slack and be in it. Brandon says we have no shooters. Tonight they didn't. Let's look at the 3-point line. Missouri was 3 for 13. Jacob Cruz made a monster one. Tamar Bates made a monster one. I believe those both tied the game in the last 2.5 minutes. Other than that, I mean, Pierce was 0 for 3. The call you can really question, I think, is the corner 3 for Pierce off the inbounds with about a minute left. But that said, Jacob Cruz got the rebound and scored. Missouri ended up getting points out of that possession. Tamar Bates only taking 2 threes. You'd like to see more. It's not that they have no shooters. I mean, Marquez Warwick, only 8 minutes today, made a giant 3. It's not they have no shooters. They didn't make shots today. Jacob Cruz 1 for 3. Again, it was a huge one. Warwick only took 1. Bates 1 for 2. Perkins isn't really a shooter. Ant isn't really a shooter. Mitchell isn't really a shooter. If you could tell me this team needs one more thing, it is a more consistent 3-point threat. That said, Illinois, 8 of 26. They averaged 10.6 threes a game coming in. They made 8. They averaged 32.7% from 3. They were 30.8. It wasn't, I mean, yes, Illinois made up points from the 3-point line, but they shoot as many threes as anybody almost in America. They outscored Missouri by 15 points from 3-point range on twice as many attempts, by the way. Missouri had 14 more trips to the free throw line. Shot 45 threes versus, or 45 twos versus 31 for Illinois, made 20 versus 17. So Illinois shot a better percentage inside the arc. I don't think the lack of 3-point shooting really hurt Missouri, but I don't know if 3-point shooting was what lost this game. It was more Illinois, great free throw shooting. Missouri solid, pretty good free throw shooting, but great beat pretty good. And again, Illinois just made one more play. I don't really have a better description for it than that. All right, I promised you voicemails. I've got a few downloaded. Let's check some out.
Know why we're taking home our timeouts like we're Matt Eberflus. Okay? I just don't love it. It is what it is. But come on, man. I don't know why we're taking home our timeouts.
I get it. But like the idea down 79-77 is you come down and you don't let Illinois set its defense. You know, your team has been scoring. It's played pretty well. You're not going to call a timeout when Mark Mitchell gets the ball on the wing and you think, oh my God, no, he's going to shoot a three and call a timeout. What if he makes it? I thought Dennis Gates called a really good timeout on the possession before when Tony Perkins was underneath and kind of didn't have anywhere to go. I don't know when the timeout should have been called. The wrong guy probably took the shot and the shot didn't go in, but that's not coaching, guys. That's I don't have an issue with Dennis Gates not calling timeout there. All right, let's go to the next one.
Hey, Gabe. Man, this was the best bragging rights we've had in years. I felt like I was going to have a heart attack that entire game. The ups and downs were absolutely insane. I don't know how I feel about Mark Mitchell. He can do so many good things, but he just misses free throws. Sometimes he makes the craziest shots, and other times he looks like he's absolutely zero touch around the basket. That three at the end of the game, I don't love it, but I know everyone's going to say he hit the shot against Kansas, so maybe he has the clutch gene. Who knows? It was a wild ride. I feel really good about our team. Our defense is starting to look a lot better than it was in the beginning of the year. Hands everywhere. So many turnovers by Illinois. It was just a fun game to watch. MIZ.
Let's talk about that. Turnovers. Illinois had 17. Missouri had 9. Look, you knew Illinois was going to win the rebounding battle. They did 42-30. It was actually pretty even in the second half. Missouri won the turnover battle 17-9. So turnovers and rebounds combined, Missouri's -4. I would bet Dennis Gates can probably live with that number. If you tell him that's what it is before the game, I bet he could probably live with it. And look, level-headed call there. I mean, agreed on Mark Mitchell. Some best player on the floor for 25 minutes, like kept Missouri in it when nobody else was really doing a lot. And then Tony Perkins and Tamar Bates joined him and made plays. But best player on the floor for a while for Missouri. Some big misses. 2 from the free throw line there. Well, 6 from the free throw line for the game, but 2 with 3.5 minutes left. The 3-point miss at the end. He also had a possession in there. It was right before Missouri went down 10. They were down 8, and Mitchell just dribbled the ball out of bounds. It happens. Like one of his 4 turnovers on the day. It happens. So yeah, Mitchell is. I think you've just got to live with some of the mistakes, some of the bad shots, because he can do a lot. I mean, he had 18 points on 6 of 12 shooting, went to the line 6 times. He only took 2 threes. So, like, we're focusing on it more because the one came at crunch time in a had to have it spot. Missouri's not in that game without Mark Mitchell. Now, I think a lot of people are going to say Mark Mitchell lost that game because of when his mistakes and when the plays at the end came. But they're also not in that game without Mitchell. So I agree with that. Look, I like the call because if the way you approach sports fandom is every time my team loses, I'm going to be mad and I'm going to find the things my team did wrong and all that, it's fine. I can't tell you not to do it. It's a miserable way to live and a miserable way to be a sports fan. But I understand that is how some process it. I thought it was a really good game that Missouri just came up a little bit short of. I agree largely with the call there. All right, let's go to the next one.
Gabe, it's Schiff. Happy holidays. You sighed during my last voicemail, which really hurt my feelings and made me think that I went on too long. So I'll try to be brief here. If my life depended on Mark Mitchell taking a 3, I'm pretty sure I'd get to meet God. That was not the shot you want there in crunch time. More so, though, I thought the free throws that I believe Mark Mitchell, I think Cruz or Pierce were the other one that missed a pair. When you didn't even split those down the stretch, it was brutal. And that came back to bite them bad. And I think the officials called the game as if every player on the floor's name was Jeremiah Tillman. So good loss, tough loss, but I think the free throw shooting hurt them as much down the stretch as some of the 3-point shooting. And I think you can tell where they missed Caleb Grill from a spacing perspective and how he maybe opened some things up for guys on the offensive end. Take care. I kept this to less than a minute. Wishing you the best.
Schiff, appreciate you, man. No, can't disagree with any of it. I think that's an interesting point. If Caleb Grill's healthy, how does this game change? Are they a little more alive in the rebounding in the first half? The lineup that actually really ended up working didn't feature a big man. So if Caleb Grill's in there as your big rebounding guard, you're playing him and Perkins and Mitchell and Bates, and then whether it's Pierce, Cruz, Shaw, whoever else you wanted to put out there. Marcus Allen was out there for times. Does he change the game? I mean, obviously, it's not just as simple as just add Caleb Grill's production and, hey, Missouri wins by 14 or whatever. It's never that simple. But I think it's a good point to remember that Missouri played without the guy who was its best player for 10 games, and then also played more or less without the guy who has been its best player all year, and Anthony Robinson, and still was right there. Got a couple more. Let's go next.
Yeah, Dave, just leaving the bragging rights game. I guess there's always next year. I think it's time to start putting in the freshmen, getting them some PT, maybe ask those other guys to transfer. Just really kind of embarrassed to be a Mizzou fan today.
Yep. Calling me Dave wasn't even the dumbest part of that call. And I don't believe it was serious anyway. So let's go.
Why did Josh Gray not play in the second half? Was he hurt or what? Why did Josh Gray?
All right, guys, I'm going to tell you why Josh Gray didn't play in the second half. All right, let's go back. It's going to take me a minute to find. Okay, here's the first half box score for Missouri. Josh Gray played that was the second half. In the first half, Josh Gray played 11 minutes, had 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 turnovers, 1 block. He had no impact on the game. He took 1 shot. He wasn't doing anything. Why, if your argument is why did Josh Gray not play in the second half, like they played better with no big man on the floor. That just isn't. Missouri in the first half was out rebounded 23-9, I believe. I'm going to check that. Let's see. Illinois had 23 rebounds in the first half. Missouri had 9 rebounds, which means in the second half, Missouri had 21 rebounds. Illinois had 19. They out-rebounded Illinois with Josh Gray on the bench. Josh Gray has had some days where he has done very good things for Missouri. This was not one of them. Josh Gray was not a factor in that game. He was not helping Missouri. That's why he didn't play in the second half. I love it when voicemails are easy to answer. Let's get back to some of your all's comments until we have Drew King. He's probably going to be another 30 minutes or so would be my guess. Bryce, again, ending that game with the timeout in the pocket is coaching malpractice. Like, when's he going to call it? I mean, if you want to argue that he calls it when Missouri gets the ball down 79-77 with, 30 seconds left, okay, he can call it there. He also allows Illinois to set the defense and get settled. If you want to argue he should have called it with 7 seconds left when Missouri got the rebound down 3. I mean, I guess okay, but they got a clean look at the basket and it just didn't go in. Guys, it's not always about your coach being an idiot. Sometimes the other team just makes one more play. Dennis Gates in that game, I mean, he spent the entire first half changing defenses every time down the floor. He used the press to force Illinois into turnovers. He got a technical that you can't tell me he didn't know he was getting technical when he ran out on the floor with the ball in play and stood in front of the official. You can't tell me that wasn't planned. And did it immediately spark a 16-0 run? No, but it woke his team up and they got going again. That was a team that at the time felt like it was really fighting and clawing and struggling to stay kind of within striking distance, and they managed to tie the game later in the first half. I thought Dennis Gates did a great job today. If your takeaway from that game is Dennis Gates lost the game because he had one timeout left, everybody forms their own conclusions. You and I just aren't going to agree. K-Town, he needs to play Cruz more to open up the floor and need Grill back ASAP. Those are the only two solid three-point shooters on the team. Yeah. I think Marquez Warwick is a good three-point shooter. Like, I don't know if I'm not sure there were minutes available for Warwick in the second half because Tony Perkins and Tamar Bates were playing really well. And I don't think you want to take either of those guys off the floor. I don't know if maybe you can go Bates, Perkins, Warwick as three guards, and then, Mitchell and whoever else, Cruz or Pierce up front. Oh, maybe you can. I wouldn't necessarily argue with it, but Cruz, I'll be honest. When Illinois started to make a little run, when Cruz came into the game, I said, I don't really quite understand why he's in the game right now. And then he immediately hit a gigantic 3-point shot. Jacob Cruz, after not playing in the second half, not playing in the first half, 8 second half minutes, 7 points, 4 for 4 from the line, 2 rebounds, no turnovers, played pretty well. So maybe he does get more minutes. I don't know if that's the answer, or I don't know if maybe he's a guy that just, hey, you use him for those 10, 12 minutes and that's what he gives you. Played badly, still almost beat a tournament team. I don't think it's fair to say Missouri played badly, and that's not what this particular commenter said, but I'll put it on the screen. I'm not going to read it. They didn't play great. There were some issues. Illinois didn't play perfect either. Nobody plays a perfect game. Thought those were two good teams in a game that got ugly at times, and a game that the officials tried to take over at times. And again, at the end, Illinois was just a play better. I think it's a disservice to just say Missouri played like crap and that's why Illinois won. No, Illinois made some plays too. 22 23 from the free throw line, the three-pointer, that came after the no call that I thought should have sent Tamar Bates to the line by I was going to try to get through the show without saying this kid's name, but Kaspar Jakashonis, I think is how they pronounce it. Jakashonis, I can't remember. I was trying to get through the day without saying it, but that was a big time shot. Like, they made plays. They did. They got to the free throw line. Some went 22 or 23 when they were there. I think Illinois deserves a lot of credit for some plays they made. Kyler, not mad at the result, believe Cruz was making that shot. Like our chances in OT with them having guys fouled out. Yeah, I thought Cruz was going to make that shot too. He was open. Sometimes they don't fall. 2 inches to the left, it's in. And we might still be playing. This might be 1993 all over again. There were people. Tom Hart brought up that comparison in the first half. So yeah, agree with you. You're disappointed in the result. You want to win every game. But I don't see how you come out of that game not pretty encouraged about where Missouri is. They have 2 losses this year. Memphis is a ranked team. Missouri had a 14-point lead with 12 minutes to go. And Illinois, not a ranked team right now. They've lost 4 games, but they played 4 top 20 teams plus Missouri and Arkansas. They've played a brutal schedule. They're 8-4. That's clearly a tournament team. So I think those are fair takeaways. To fight 2 hours and then Mitchell takes that shot is terribly disappointing. Bates had to get the ball. That's fair. You'd like to see the ball in Tamar Bates' hands. I wouldn't have argued with Tony Perkins. Tony Perkins is not a great shooter at times, but when he got to the line, he generally finished the job. Again, I completely understand the take that Mark Mitchell can't take that shot, and I agree with it. I just also am trying to present the other side. Last 2 minutes of the first half and the last minute of regulation lost the game. Yeah, again, Illinois just made one more play, right? The 5-0 run at the end of the first half, which was very, very close to being 7-0, less than 1/10 of a second, I think, but very close. If we rebound, we should have won. Free throws wasn't bad. We hit them. We've been not good with rebound. Look, Dennis Gates teams are not great rebounding. There's no question. But they out-rebounded Illinois in the second half. Illinois averaging a rebounding margin of plus 11.7 a game. I think they're the number one rebounding team in the country. Rebounding margin in this one was plus 12. You'd like it to be a little bit better. But again, turnover margin plus 8, went to the free throw line more. Illinois actually below season average shooting the ball. Overall, it just keeps coming back to the same thing for me, guys. Just made one more play all the time. Why wasn't Warwick on the floor late? He can shoot. We talked about that. Yeah, fair. Now, hard to bring in a guy that had only played 8 minutes in that situation, down 2 in the last minute to go. But I wouldn't have argued with seeing him more. Let's see. Still going. Still don't understand why they didn't call a foul when the guy dove into Bates' legs. It was on Illinois, not us. That 3 killed us. I agree that I thought it was a foul. I did. But also, guys, Missouri came back and tied the game and took the lead after that. It's not as simple as you go back and say, we'll pick out this call with 2.5 minutes left and change that, and the game's different. Maybe if you change a call with 7 minutes left in the first half, the game's different. I don't know. I get the officiating takes. There has not been as many as I expected there to be. I thought the officials lost control of that one for a while. Had 3 or 4 straight possessions, where they called nothing and then called everything for a long time. I didn't think it was particularly biased against one team or the other necessarily. I'm sure you guys do. I'm sure Illinois fans also think the officials were against their team. This is what we do after every game. That play, yes, I thought it should have been a foul on Illinois. I'm sure there were some that shouldn't have been fouls that were called on both teams. I'm sure Missouri at some point committed a foul that wasn't called. Overall, not a well officiated game by any means. Just don't think it's one where the officiating decided it. It seems like you guys tend to agree with me. Knowing what they are heading into in SEC play makes this one hurt more. I get that. But you are this loss doesn't hurt you in the long run. Illinois was favored by 3.5. They won by 3 on a neutral floor. Net rankings coming into today, Illinois was 15, Missouri was 41. KenPom, Illinois was 23rd. Missouri was 50th. Again, KenPom had this one. I think Illinois by 3. Illinois won by 3. I think at the end of the day, this is probably actually going to be a loss that the committee or whatever looks at and says is a pretty good loss. I mean, neutral floor against a top 20 team is a quad 1 loss. Both of Missouri's losses are quad 1 losses because Memphis is a top 50 team. That was a road game. So they don't have any bad losses. That's not a bad loss. And this is where, especially in November and December, we struggle to adapt from football mentality to basketball mentality. And that is, this game is crushing in football, right? It's the equivalent of the South Carolina game. That was crushing for Missouri's season. This isn't crushing. This is, man, it would have been really good to have this one. But you can actually kind of build on, make this a positive. It's a good loss, and that happens in basketball. Whereas in football, a good loss just kind of doesn't exist. GP Hill Mo, I thought Mizzou was a tournament team after they beat KU. Now I'm not so sure. I actually went the other direction. I thought Missouri might be a tournament team after the KU game. I now kind of think Missouri is a tournament team. I was impressed with what I saw. I thought they played well. I came away from this game liking Missouri and liking the team's tournament chances more than I went into it. Let's see. Still going. Not having Grill is really hurting. Only a classic if Missouri wins it. Look, I get it. When the hell is Grill coming back? He warmed up today. That gives me some hope that maybe he's back for Alabama A&M at the end of the month. They play again in 8 days. And then, Auburn, SEC opener and SEC play. So I think ideally you would like to get him in the lineup for a game before it's at Auburn to open SEC play. So if you can do that, or if you maybe hold him out one more week and he comes back against LSU, I think that's kind of the probably the timeline. Again, I don't have any information. We're not going to have any information. He's just going to show up one night and be there. But that's probably kind of what I'd expect. Carpe Donnelly, these games almost always come down to who makes their free throws and who wins both sides of the rebounding. Felt like a Sweet 16 game. Yeah, completely agree. I mean, completely agree. On the pod, the Illinois guy, that's Jeremy Warner, said they try to prevent allowing threes, and they did that. Good point. That Illinois wants you to take 2-point shots. Missouri took a lot of them, got to the free throw line a lot, and again, they made another play. Tough day for number 0, that being Ant Robinson. No question. Tough day for Ant. His worst day of the season. No doubt about it. Illinois at worst a 5 seed in the tourney. They leave a neutral site game feeling like they survived. Team will improve as they play more together. Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. The SEC is an absolute war. There's zero question about that. But I think Missouri has a lot to feel good about today. Let's see. I'm distraught. You shouldn't be. I mean, you just, again, feel how you want to feel. I'm not going to tell you how to feel. I don't really think you should be distraught. Disappointed. Look back, try to find the opportunities, hey man, if we just would have done this or made that play or whatever, but not distraught. Agree with Mike. That game told me we're legit. No, I agree. Another good point, and this is what I tried to say. Don't think we would get a better shot than what Cruz got if we called a timeout. Agreed. I mean, they got the look they wanted. It just, kind of happened because Mitchell had the ball 30 feet from the basket, and I'm thinking, oh no, don't make this a 30-foot heave to tie it. You got to get something. And I don't know if it was a pass or a loose ball, but Cruz was there and kind of split a double team, and it was an open shot on the wing. I mean, it was, and from a guy who has made a lot of them in the last 2 games. It just didn't go down. Jive Turkey, I'm sure this will be well taken around here. Kudos to Mizzou. You battled my Illini hard today. Feels like if we would have gone to OT, we would have got them. I agree, and here's why I agree, because Missouri had a 1-point lead, but I don't think it was ever more than 1. They were up 68-67. Let me look at the play-by-play and see if they had any leads bigger than that late. I don't think they did. Missouri led 68-67. The rest of the game, they just tied it. I mean, that was it. They led 68-67. That lead held for 18 seconds. That was the only time Missouri led in the game since the 16-11 mark of the first half. So for the last 36-11, Missouri led for 18 seconds. So if that's how it goes and you get to overtime, I feel like the team that feels maybe a little bit fortunate to get it to overtime, like the team that was behind and battled all day just to get there, gets kind of a new lease in OT. And I think probably that's how Missouri would have treated overtime. I think Missouri had the edge in OT. Now, the only reason maybe not is, again, free throw shooting, 76% versus 96%. 95%. So that may have been a factor in OT, but overall, I agree. Had you gone to overtime, I think you probably would have felt good. Gates isn't always a great in-game coach. Today was a fantastic game by him. Look, I agree. Today was a very well coached game, and isn't always a great in-game coach. I know you don't mean that as like a big insult, but nobody makes every right call, right? Gates coached really good. Sometimes got to give the other team credit. They made some big shots. They absolutely did. And I know that's hard to do. I know it's way easier to say, well, my team didn't do this. My team missed free throws. And the wrong guy took the three. And this happened. And the ref made that call and all that. But also sometimes, like, the other guy made plays, man. And Illinois makes plays. There's no question about it. All right. Lost in all of this is the only thing people really want to know, who's QB1. Trust me, guys. I'm working on it tonight, tomorrow. Like, I'm not sure when we'll get resolution. I don't feel like it's going to be a long time. I feel like there are a couple options. We'll get into it. We're trying to focus on basketball here. Drew King just texted me. He's getting set up. Post game is over. He's getting set up at Enterprise. And when he comes on, we'll bring him on for 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever. And we'll wrap this up and we'll send you guys off to surf the message board about quarterbacks and have a good Christmas and all that. But as of right now, look, if I knew, I'd tell you. If we get news tonight, Gerard Hamilton and I will jump back on here. If we get news in the morning, Gerard Hamilton and I will try to jump back on here. Kevin Smith want to know how you feel about Peyton Marshall's minutes. Can provide a big spark, but feels like a liability on defense. I felt the opposite. I felt he was a liability on offense. Like, he had a couple of possessions there where he tried to shoot and probably didn't need to. He got a shot blocked that I felt like was maybe going to be a big turning point. It wasn't. Missouri came back from it. I thought Peyton gave Missouri really good minutes, had a block shot, provided some toughness, got a couple rebounds. But there's also a limit. Like, you don't want to overexpose him. You play him 25 minutes, you're going to see a little more of the downside. And we saw a little of the downside today. I thought Gates got him out at a pretty good time. The problem is not the losses, it's lack of quality wins, margin of error in conference plays less. No, I agree. Look, Missouri has one good win. I mean, Cal is, I don't know, probably a quad 3 win because it was a home game. So they only have one good win, but the SEC provides a lot of chances to get them. They're 10-2. They're going to be 11-2 in non-con. They're not going to lose to Alabama A&M. So they're going to be 11-2. 8-10 is going to get you in. 19-12 in this league will get you in. Because I'm just going to run through their schedule in the SEC. Auburn, number 1 at Ken Palm. LSU, number 60. Vandy, 49. Florida, 7. Arkansas, 42. Texas, 35. Ole Miss, 30. Mississippi State, 17. Tennessee, 3. A&M, 19. Oklahoma, 37. Georgia, 36. Alabama, 8. Arkansas, 42. South Carolina, 65. Vanderbilt, 49. Oklahoma, 37. Kentucky, 26. No games against teams outside the top 65. 8 of those wins are like you're in. It's kind of like SEC football. Just win enough total, like you're getting chances at quality wins. Drew King in the green room, we're going to bring him in just a second. Do want to remind you guys real quick, post-game shows all throughout basketball season brought to you by our friends over at the Bruning Law Firm. You can get in touch with somebody at Bruning at 573-400-2796. That is 573-400-2796. Huge Mizzou fans, guys. I know they were wrapped up in this game today. They helped us with the pregame brunch. They're doing the postgame show. I know they were living and dying with every shot like you guys were. And they just want to take care of you if you find yourself in the need for some legal help. If maybe you've been injured and you're looking for a way to recoup some funds, get in touch with the Bruning Law Firm at 573-400-2796. Free consultation. They don't get paid till you get paid. Get in touch with them. They're going to take care of you. And we certainly encourage you to do that, even though we hope that you have no need to call them, because that would mean obviously that you're in a not ideal situation. So we're going to bring in my guy, Drew King from the Enterprise Center in St. Louis. Drew, I don't want to prejudice you with my thoughts. Just give us your 30,000-foot view of this one. And also at some point, see if make sure you got your settings right so we're not getting quite as much background noise on the microphone.
Okay, let's see what I can do about that.
But yeah, Illinois wins this one 80-77. I think it'll be your StreamYard settings if there's an issue. But just overall thoughts, like immediately at the buzzer, your takeaways are what?
Big takeaway was like that was an insane game. Really, really competitive, which is kind of what I was expecting. It's not like anything that this game has been the past 2 seasons. And so I came away thinking like these are 2 really, really good teams going toe-to-toe. I know Mizzou came away with the loss, but I think that game showed that they're a team that can make it in March. So that was kind of my 30,000-foot view. I think the difference just came down to a couple things, mainly Mizzou missing their free throws, right? Because they had 14 more chances and only made 6 of them. And then, that was mainly it, really. I mean, Illinois had an advantage on the boards early, but I think Mizzou did a better job in the second half. And so
Mizzou
really
out-rebounded them in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, Kylan Boswell went 11 for 11 at the line and then missed that last one. And I wasn't expecting it to miss either. So, I think that was the main thing for me.
Right, and when we're talking about free throw shooting, like, yes, Missouri missed, and that they missed. Mitchell and Pierce missed 2 at big times, obviously, so that skews our view. But like Missouri shot 76% as a team from the free throw line. That's good enough. The problem was that you combined it with a day where Illinois just was perfect. I mean, Illinois went 22 of 23 from the line and had to go 22 of 23 to win that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's the big thing is like they came out 4 of 6 from 3, and then we're only 4 of 20 for the rest of the game. That was a huge adjustment that I think Illinois had to make on its part. Unfortunately for Mizzou, like it did pretty good, a pretty good job of driving to the rim and figuring out ways to score in there. I don't have a party popper with me, Boof and Tobacco. That's a crazy name. But no, like, defensively, I thought Mizzou was all right. It was obviously like a really physical game. And yeah, like Illinois just converted their free throws. I really think that's what it came down to. Like obviously Dennis Gates got a technical foul, right? So it's not completely on the players either, but I thought the tech was warranted in that situation.
It was warranted, and he knew he was going to get it. I mean, you don't run onto the court and stand in front of the official with the game going on and not know you're going to get teed up. And it worked. Look, I said a number of times today, I thought Dennis Gates coached his ass off today. He changed the defenses up and back. I mean, Josh Gray's given him nothing. He goes away from Josh Gray. He goes to Peyton Marshall. Peyton Marshall starts to get exposed a little bit. Then he just goes without a big man for like the last 10 minutes of the game. Missouri out-rebounds him, manages to stay in the game. Like, it's not always about your coach making mistakes. Sometimes the other guy makes one more play. So, look, I know what my real-time reaction was to it. When you're sitting courtside and the go-ahead shot goes up from Mark Mitchell from three-point range with 12 seconds left, you're thinking what?
It's not the right guy. It was the same. It was the same way we felt about Trent Pierce pulling up against Kansas last year. It's like, it's the right shot. It's the wrong guy. And then like even on that last possession with Jacob Cruz, I was like, okay, right guy, maybe not the right shot. Like Trent Pierce was open in the corner. It was okay,
but he had to shoot that. There was 2 seconds left.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, like I'm not gonna fault Mark for taking it. Right, he's a confident guy. That was a fine look. But you wished it would have been a Trent Pierce or Jacob Cruz in that spot.
And the problem there is that's the shot Illinois wants you to take, right? Like, look, he made the shot against Kansas. So if it goes in, we're probably not having this conversation. And I thought overall Mark Mitchell was a net positive. Just a couple of his weaknesses were exposed. But like there's a reason you're the open guy there because they want you to shoot that shot. And they don't want Tamar Bates to shoot it. They don't want Tony Perkins to get to the rim. They don't want Mark Mitchell to get to the rim. So sometimes you're open for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Here was one of my takeaways from today, Gabe. Like, Anthony Robinson got played out of the game. Josh Gray played out of the game. And they still hung around. Like, this
Caleb
team,
Grill was never in the game.
Caleb Grill, like your best three-point shooter, probably could have taken that corner three instead of Mark Mitchell. Like this team can figure out how to win in a lot of different situations. You know, they just went up against a team that likes to shoot a lot of threes and held them to 8 for 26 and made this a really ugly physical game. So I think that, again, like while Mizzou took the loss, it's a good loss, right? This has to give you a lot of confidence moving forward. And like, what was the rebounding?
It was 42-30, but it was
42-30,
21-19 Missouri in the second half.
Right. And like second chance points, it's 13-8. That's pretty negligible in the overall scheme of things. So yeah, like I think that this is a really deep team. Aiden Shaw didn't give you anything. He's going to have better days. Peyton Marshall and Marcus Allen had moments. Like, this is a really, really deep squad.
Let's talk about, you mentioned it at the beginning there, Ant Robinson. Look, he's been great this year. This was what you worried he had in him still at some point. Like, guys have bad days. It's okay. Guys are allowed to have bad days. But 4 fouls, including a couple pretty bad ones, looked rattled, if I'm being honest. Like, just didn't look like he was ready to handle this game today.
So I thought differently. I thought it was specifically Kylan Boswell matching up on him. And they're basically the same height. I think Ant might have an inch on him, but Kylan is so much thicker than him and so much stronger and didn't let Ant get to a spot at all today. And so, yeah, like then on the defensive side, Kylan, is kind of battering Ram his way in there. And Ant ends up picking up 4 fouls. So I think that for this matchup specifically, today wasn't his day. I don't know that it was the moment was too big for him, though, because I think that Ant wants to play in those types of situations. But, just not a rough day for him, for sure.
Yeah, like not saying he's not prepared for this game or couldn't handle it, but it just today was a bad day for him. Flip side, like, hey, that's why they really like Tony Perkins, huh?
Yeah. Huge.
Maybe he just needed to play a Big Ten team?
That Dennis Gates brought that up, was just like, I'll go back and look at it, but in his past 2 games against Illinois, he's had like 20 or 30 points. So this is a team that he knows pretty well and has shown up against before. I mean, shoot, Gabe, he only sat for less than 3 minutes and played awesome. So it makes sense why they got him, right? And it really helps that he stepped up today when Ant wasn't playing all that well. But they got to get that consistently from him. We've been kind of waiting on that from him.
Yeah, and 2 dunks that, look, I didn't know he had that in him, especially the first one, man. The first one was like, a friend of mine texted me and said, how did he dunk that? Like, he took off from 9 feet away.
Yeah. No, I mean, when I went to watch the team practice for the first time, I saw him, like, standing on 2 feet, jump up and dunk. And I was like, oh, he's really athletic. But even today, like, to get that much air underneath him, that putback was insane, changed the momentum of the game. Because I think Mizzou was gave up a 7-0 run, and that kind of flipped the tide and let them go on an 11-0 run. So really, really good stuff from Tony, for sure.
That 11-0 run, I mean, look, Missouri was down. I think they were down 8, 65-57. And I think that was the possession where Mitchell just dribbled the ball out of bounds. Like, he lost control, dribbles the ball out of bounds. Illinois comes down, goes up 10. And you kind of thought, that seems like it's probably it. And then not only wasn't it, suddenly, I mean, they come roaring back. And immediately 11-0 run to take the lead. as much as the result, that run is what I take out of today and say, hey guys, like you've got something. Like I am more confident today that Missouri makes the NCAA tournament than I was yesterday.
Yeah. Here was something that stood out to me too, and this goes back to it's something else that made the difference today, aside from free throws. Mizzou forced 17 turnovers and only got 12 points out of them. That's not a normal day for Mizzou. And Dennis Gates talked about that in his post-game presser, like we didn't take advantage of those opportunities. There's going to be days when Mizzou's a lot better at transition and cashing in on those looks. It just wasn't today.
Yeah. So look, we texted about this a little bit, I think, but I've seen this game a lot, right? I've probably been to 15 to 20 of these and seen another 10 on TV. You'd been to 2 before this year, one of which was an out of nowhere 30-point Mizzou win, and one of which was a 30-point Illinois win that just kind of really showed us the rest of this year is going to be really, really tough.
Yeah.
But neither one was competitive, right? Like both had half the arena pretty excited, but neither was anything like this.
Yeah.
What was kind of your opinion of being in that arena for this game when it's close?
It was interesting because the Illinois crowd was really into it from the start. Like multiple, let's stand up and start roaring a little bit to give our team some momentum, like 2 minutes into the game, something like that. But as the game went on and Mizzou was still in it, you could hear Mizzou's crowd start to really get into it too, especially after Dennis Gates picked up that technical foul. You could feel like, okay, this is actually a pretty even 50-50, not quite 50-50 split, but pretty close to it. Like Brad Underwood said it, like we put on a show today compared to the last 2 years. So that was definitely one of the more fun matchups I've gotten to cover on the beat so far.
Yeah, I mean that game today was what this game should be. It was like it feels like a tournament game, not just from the standpoint that they both look like good teams, but like every play is either the greatest play or the worst play. Every call is either excellent call or you're an idiot and can't see Mr. Official. You know, I mean, it's just somebody's on their feet the entire time, and it makes the KU game was a great atmosphere. But like everybody's cheering for the same thing. This is cool because everybody's not cheering for the same thing.
Yeah, so that's the thing is like there's an extra 3,000 people in the arena here, but obviously like the crowd split, right? So it never gets quite as loud as the border war, but it's a lot more competitive back and forth between the two sides. It's really cool.
Yeah. So look, I feel like I don't know. The way I wrapped this one up is you're always disappointed when you lose a game, but like it doesn't always have to be my team didn't do this or my coach didn't do that. Sometimes it's just it was a really good game that the other team made one more play. That's what I come out of this feeling like.
Yeah, like you gotta. I mean, SEC play is still going to be really tough, and you would have liked to have this win in the bag for sure, but. It's not a loss that's going to end your season by any means, right? In fact, it could help you in some ways. You still got to go out and compete in SEC play, but I feel a lot more confident that Mizzou will be able and be equipped to do that come January.
Yeah, does this change anything about what we think about, what it takes in SEC play or what they're capable of in SEC play?
I think without this win, like 7-11 probably isn't going to do it for them.
Right.
But I think 8-10, you're probably still in the running. And then
I think 8-10, you're in.
Yeah, 9-9, you're a lock for sure. So, but yeah.
Want to wrap you up with this because I know you got a lot of stuff to do and we got other stuff that may go on later today. But a couple of people have asked why Peyton Marshall was screaming at Illinois players at the end of the game. Did you happen to? I didn't see it. I don't know.
I was trying to get my last tweet of the game up, and I look up and there's a skirmish. So I have no idea what happened there. I just saw that they were trying to break players up.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's an intense game. It's an intense rivalry. It was a little chippy. The officials lost control for about a 3 or 4 minute stretch there.
Oh
and
my
so
goodness.
I think that's just kind of the kind of thing that happens.
For sure.
But like that's good. You don't want them to love each other.
Yeah,
I want these guys chirping at each other after.
Right, like next year, like Peyton Marshall's gonna remember this game, right? And so if he's assuming he's still around next year, like this is one that he's gonna want to get back. So yeah, like having a real rivalry helps with rivalry games, I feel like.
Yeah, no question. Well, Drew, appreciate it, man. I know you and Henry got a lot of stuff coming from St. Louis, so everybody look forward to that, and travel safe, and we will talk to you, man.
Sounds good. Thanks, Gabe.
All right, Drew King live from the Enterprise Center in St. Louis. Again, Missouri an 80-77 loser to the Fighting Illini in the bragging rights game. Last one for 8 days. Mizzou sitting 10-2 right now. Alabama A&M on December 30th. Look, guys, we'll follow the quarterback stuff. You know, we'll see what's going on. We'll check in with some people later tonight. Hope to have some more for you on the site, whether that's tonight, tomorrow morning, whatever it is. Drew and Henry are going to have a lot of stuff from St. Louis, so please stay tuned for that. Appreciate you hanging out here. You know, a great game. Didn't go the way you wanted, but I don't think this is one that has Missouri fans hanging their heads going into Christmas. I think you feel relatively encouraged by this, certainly a lot more than you did last year. You go forward thinking you get a pretty good shot for this team to be playing meaningful basketball in March. So that is a good thing. I want to thank all you guys who are here with us live. If you were, please like, comment, subscribe, share the show, all that. I'm going to put the podcast together shortly after I get done here. If you're listening there, please share it on social media. Leave a nice review, regardless of how you took it in. A reminder that our post-game shows are brought to you by our friends at the Bruning Law Firm in St. Louis, Missouri. Great guys. I know them personally and would certainly recommend to you guys that you get your legal stuff taken care of at Bruning Law Firm, because when you're hurting, your time matters, and they have your back. Their talented team of personal injury lawyers use data and experience to achieve real results fast. Smarter approach, better results. Get in touch with them today. Get the relief you deserve. A free consultation, 573-400-2796. Once again, 573-400-2796 to get a hold of everyone at the Bruning Law Firm. Tell them Power Mizzou referred you there. That'll help them help us, and they will certainly help you. Guys, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever it is you're celebrating the next few days. Hope you spend some time with us on Power Mizzou, because we're going to have plenty of stuff coming up over the next few days, but hope you also spend some time with your family, your friends, whoever it is that you are celebrating this season with. Plenty to come. No more Mizzou games for 8 days. We've got the Liberty Bowl, the Music City Bowl, and Alabama A&M on December 30th. But plenty of stuff will happen between now and then. We will have you completely covered. Appreciate you joining us here on the Bruning Law Firm Braggin' Rights postgame show. Till next time, see you.